はアルとマイクみたいになりたい。でも電話してくれない。オークランドとブックレンドから世界チャンピオンバーチャルプローズ始まるよ。バーチャルプローズ。
To my motherfucking man, 50 grand, the alcoholic man, inject a tall can in his bloodstream if he can. Biggie Smalls, the stroker, MC provoker, chocolate tie smoker, huh? I like to max and Maximas and Acuras. Your girl butt cheeks, I'm smacking, huh? The raw rapper, spine snapper, with the little, cause on my lap, a shot, but I ain't your fucking comforter. And if I ever fall in love, I bet I'm fucking her. Ask the if I didn't choke her. If she try to front, then I drop the Chucky book.
Recording live from somewhere. It's episode 46 of the Virtual Pros podcast. My name is Al, aka the Big Al Boski, aka Henny Omega, aka the Bandman, aka Bougie Nagata, aka Two Phone Scorpio, aka Playboy Hardy, and with me, one half of the Holy Scheming Army, one half of Blemolition, one half of the Heavenly Thotties, my main oos, Mike.
Hey, motherfuckers, it is Mike, a.k.a. Lord Alfred Blaze, a.k.a. Dr. Swagner Jr., a.k.a. Butterita Asari, a.k.a. Crack Saber Jr.
Today's topic, the matches that defined us as wrestling fans. Hit us on Instagram and Twitter at VRTLPros. Hit us on iTunes, leave a review. Mike won't send you a sticker. Hit us on SoundCloud, hit that heart, you know I like it. And if you haven't already, hit up and download the Bloody Disgusting app. Have all 46 episodes now in the palm of your hands. Also, if you don't mind, just pester them. Let them know that you like Virtual Pros a lot.
Yes.
Dude, have we gotten like one like message where someone was just like, yeah, I found you through BD?
I feel like I got a tweet or something that was kind of along those lines. I don't think he said it directly, but I felt it. I felt it inside of me that that's how he found out about it.
Like, I've seen the follows go up on IG and like those dudes that follow us. I mean, no offense or anything, but you guys look like you watch horror movies. And so I'll just, that's my takeaway. I guess, it's working. The downloads are up, so I'm very happy about it. Oh, also, if you want to participate, email us at virtualpros64@gmail.com. Mike, we're doing this shit live, man. How do you feel about it?
I feel great. I've done podcasts live a million times. It's way easier for me to talk. I don't have to like wait for a pause. I could look at Al. We're not looking at each other right now. But
no, we're like looking away, just like at the floor, just really, really awkward. Yeah, it's pretty funny.
But I mean, this is my element. I'm glad I can do this because it's been a fucking minute since I've been able to do a live podcast. So
also, no one's home, so I feel very, very happy to talk about Megumi Kudo in front of only Mike and no one else. So I'm pretty pumped about that.
Yeah.
We didn't get a lot of emails.
Yeah, I purposely didn't send out another email signal because we've realized every time I do that, we get like 10 at the end, and then the show is like an extra half an hour. And if you guys don't follow us on Twitter or Instagram, and you should, you'll probably know that Al is in town because we're going to Oneida and Tremont, CZW Once in a Lifetime. And so we kind of just want to get this over with and go have our fun in New York City.
Yep.
But I got some emails. The first one's from a guy named Totally Galf. It's a weird name.
What?
Yeah, it was way back. It was like right after the last episode. Subject is Mascot Match Madness. How's it, Al and Mike? First time listener writing in for the first time. Thanks to mutual friend Denzel of Real Nerd Hours who talked you all up. He and I once got extremely drunk at a USA Stardom event in LA once, but that's a story for another time. You guys are the best podcast to listen to at work. Hey, thanks. Thank you for making the hours fly by and the worst days seem like nothing. The last few episodes about Mickey D's and Jollibee's mascots throwing hands made me remember the time New Money Baby Hunk himself, Rainmaker Okada Kazuchika, fought Funiasi, a.k.a. the official crazed local mascot of the same prefecture in Japan. I'm too drunk to remember. Here's the 2 only Super Potato quality links I can find to the match, and then he links it. Excuse me. This leads to my question. Which match between a cuddly, adorable mascot and a wrestler would you like to see most? Personally, I want Big Japan's mascot Death Duck, a.k.a. Kamo Duck, to team up with New Japan's Zippy the Lion and start a blood feud with Hello Kitty and Pikachu in an exploding barbed wire match. But that's just me. Much love, Tofu, a.k.a. Meow Shirai, a.k.a. Hello Kobayashi, a.k.a. Danshaka Dino Bra. I'm bad at puns, it says. I don't really follow mascots, so I don't really have an answer for this, and I didn't prep beforehand because I forgot about this email. So I have no answer for you, man. I'm sorry.
Man, I think Dave from Wendy's died, so that can't happen.
Nope.
Man, I'm sorry, Tofu, but my vote would have been Dave, but he is no longer with us.
No,
so
he died.
He is no longer with us, so no death matches for Dave. It'd be redundant. Next up, Casey, right? It's kind of hard to scroll through all these orders.
Yeah.
He writes in, email title is Mall Goth. What's up? With some very questionable emojis. My fools. First off, the last episode was recorded at the beginning of G1, and now we are several matches in. In regards to that, Mike said he was surprised at how hard hitting the Ibushi match he had seen was. What the fuck? Ibushi is as hard hitting as they come. He is a perfect video game wrestler, high flying fun flippy shit, and also will kick somebody / take a legit kick with no regard for the human body. That's my fool. Wondering if you guys now have watched a bunch of his matches in a row and are now in love with him like you should be. Next point, you also skimmed on it, but the LIJ Hot Topic issue last time, but I think you might have misread the headlines. They will be selling LIJ and the original Lion Mark logo tee, not on the original Lion Mark tee. It's confirmed they will be produced by none other than our stateside Golden Boys, PWTs, aka Garbage. Good news is that they won't affect my flex when I make sure the Lion Mark tag is popping out of the back like my LIJ X Carp tee. Shout out to Al. Listener Casey, aka EMS1. That's fire. AKA Rap Suck Wale, AKA Yahoo JP McDaniel, AKA Super Delphin with a bait mask. Ask about me. Dude, I've always been in love with Kota Ibushi. He kind of just has this kind of dumb face, but I guess he's an ikemen. He's a handsome boy.
Yeah, I guess he's brutal. I don't really relate him and Naito to brutal wrestling, so I don't know. When I think brutal wrestling, I think Vader and people like that are pretty brutal, and he's still a dainty boy.
Yeah, man. Anytime some guy has feathered hair, I can't just be like, yo, I don't want to see this guy in a fucking dark alley. He wears Supreme. That's cool. But yeah, I've always liked Kota Ibushi. You're right. He is the perfect video game wrestler. He never fucks up. Yeah, always A1.
And I did miss that. I guess I'm kind of bummed, but kind of assumed that they are just doing a half-assed job with this Hot Topic merch. But I mean, that's expected. I don't know why else they would import merch from Japan just to sell it a Hot Topic. So I guess that makes sense. So sorry for reporting some fake news last episode, guys.
Yeah, I think I saw the size tags. They're screened on. You don't got that embroidered that embroidered Lion Mark tag. You don't get the nice little cellophane baggie with a sticker. I still don't respect it. I don't care if it's official Lion Mark merch. It's not real. If you didn't pay in yen, it doesn't count.
Next up is from Jay Riley. It's the subject is Sapporo Taisen Hall. That is the venue from the Yamakata Yasuwa barbed wire kickpad match that we reviewed last week. It's like Japan's version of Montgomery County Fairgrounds in Dayton from early ROH. Can't find it on YouTube for the mixtape. But there is a Michinoku Pro 8 or 10 man tag from 1996 at this venue where Shoichi Funaki inexplicably disappears from the match, or at least was selling on the outside the entire time. I think he even misses out on the Everyone Dive spot. It's no doubt on any one of the 8 billion M-Pro compilation tapes that were being heavily traded at the time. Listen to episode 1, picked it back up at 44 and 45. Thanks, Jay, aka J-Ro Risu. Oh shit, I think that's Christian's real name. Never mind, I'm new here. Yeah, this was actually the email that I was saying was, I was like, maybe he found us through Bloody Disgusting, because I don't know why else he would try and listen to episode 1, but I don't know for sure. I also wrote him personally and said, thank you for continuing to listen after listening to episode 1, Because
that's a big gap, man. You like skip some pretty solid episodes. 23 is really good.
Yeah, I mean, I've been listening to podcasts forever, and I never go back to episode 1. Even if I love a podcast, I'm just like, I'll go to episode 10, and I just assume all the first 9 podcasts of any person's podcast is pretty shitty. Yeah, and him and a bunch of other people, Bahu and a few other people, did tell us that it is Sapporo Tyson Hall. And
I feel like such a postdoc because people were just like, yo, it's Sapporo Tyson. And I was like, well, fuck, I didn't know, man. It just looks like an abandoned Costco.
Yeah, I've never been big on knowing the names of venues or anything, so I don't feel bad.
Was that it?
Oh, no, there's one from Shot Glass in here.
Oh, shit. Shot Glass, I'm sorry. Shot Glass writes in, whoop, whoop. Sup, guys? Long time, first time. Oh, by the way, Pat, I'm excited to meet you, my friend. Do you ever have nerds call you out on social media for making a mistake? What would you call these versions who correct podcasters for honest mistakes, like getting the date wrong on a match or something stupid like that? Could they be a contender for next year's Shame Cup? And then he links us to a match with WWE Hall of Famer Nikolai Volkov wrestling Bobby Fulton in a gym with no ring. I didn't get to peep that yet, but it sounds like it's up my alley.
I've seen clips from that match. Supposedly it took place in Cleveland, and I have no idea where it took place at, but it's interesting, that's for sure.
No shit. Yeah. Much motherfucking clown love. Shot Glass, a.k.a. Randy Snorton, a.k.a. Gold Dusted, a.k.a. Giant Babadook. You know what, dude? I guess we can talk about it now, but like, I can really only count like the number of troll attempts like on one hand. And why do you think that is?
Well, I think it's because we give out this air of
hard superiority.
Yeah, of hard superiority. So I think it's hard to do that. I will say though, the thing that does grind my gears along these lines, pretty related to this, is I will always tweet out clearly a joke, and people always give me like the actual scientific answer or whatever. Like, for example, sorry for calling you out, whoever did this to me. I'm sure you listen to the show, but I tweeted like a rhetorical question, like, why are the Usos, why is their gimmick like talking in rhyme now? And somebody gave me the explanation as if I don't know, but I do know. Like, but that seems to happen a lot. I mean, not just to us, but on Twitter in general. And I've said it many times on this show. If I'm tweeting, it's probably a joke. I don't understand those people that are like, let me get serious for a second, and then rattle off like 9 tweets in a row about their personal lives. That is never going to happen on the VRTL Pros Twitter. Anything I say on there is probably a joke, unless I'm asking like a literal question, like, when did this match happen or something? Yeah,
like you usually preface your real ass tweets with, hey guys, serious question.
Yeah.
Other than that, we're always kind of bullshitting on there. So,
yeah.
I don't know. I don't take offense if you want to correct us, but.
Yeah, I don't obviously, like, I'm very glad that a million people told us about this Sapporo Tyson Hall. Not that it really affects my life, but it's good to know that stuff.
Yeah, at least 5 people hit us up about it.
Yeah.
I think that was the last email.
That was the last email.
Cool. We'll get into 2-man scramble now. My first topic, really sad news, guys. The WWE, they released Ho Ho Lun. R.I.P., man. Like, you were one of my favorites in the Cruiserweight Classic. And like, I can't remember like another time where like someone just got cut. So I kind of wonder what happened. Like, if you're an insider, if you got,
what do you mean? People get cut all the time.
Not like, come on, not like this. People asked for the release. I don't think Ho Ho Lun was like, yo, I gotta go back to Hong Kong Pro Wrestling. I think he wanted to stay, bro.
No, I think they cut people all the time. Not all the time, but they do it.
When was the last time they cut anybody, though?
There's been some like people who've never made TV in NXT that have been cut within the last year, I believe. I think so.
Yo, Ho Ho should go on like a Cody-esque run, like go to New Japan, challenge Okada. I'd be really fucking fired up about it. Any thoughts, Mike? You bummed out about Ho Ho Lun bouncing?
It's kind of ironic or coincidental that they have this big hard on for India now. So they're like, remember those Chinese guys we got? Yeah, whatever. Let's let him go. That other guy, Bin Dong or whatever the fuck his name is, he's probably on borrowed time too. So.
Great segue. In other Asian injustice news, it was reported by Dave the God that the WWE rescinded their offer to one Best female women's wrestler in the world, Io Shirai. Are you bummed about it like I am?
I mean, I'm kind of bummed just because I think it would be interesting, but her neck was probably super jacked up if they're like, no, that's okay. We don't need you. I think Kairi Hojo's probably enough because...
and she got injured recently too, apparently.
Oh, really? I didn't even know that.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, it would have been interesting, but she's probably... Well, for people who watch her, she's probably better off. Monetarily, she's probably definitely not better off, but... she could injure her neck and probably retire early somewhere else that she actually enjoys wrestling in.
Yeah, it's kind of fucked up because my 2016 wrestler to blow up, Chihiro Hashimoto, that would be a dream match. Mm-hmm. But her whole shit is like, let me dump you on your neck. So I don't know if I want to see that. My next topic, if you had to leave hey, it's my birthday, it'd really make my day if you shouted me out comment on any wrestler's Instagram, who would it be?
This is tough because I can't imagine a situation where I'd want to do this to myself.
Yeah, like everyone would see it and they'd be like, man, Mike's a weirdo.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, we're live in the studio. You probably heard that. I would it'd definitely be Asuka. Her and Kairi Hojo posted a picture on Instagram yesterday. Yeah. And I looked at that picture and, like, I don't know, guys. Like, I know real Mongoloids and people like that have, like, real serious feelings, like, towards porn stars and stuff. And they're always, like, wishing them happy birthday on Twitter and stuff. And I'm not that person, but I don't know. Asuka does something to me. I don't know what it is, but, like, I look at her and I'm just like, we should get married. So it would definitely be her.
For me, probably Tino Sabatelli because I know he'd do it. And I get a big old laugh from it.
He would definitely do it. What else is he doing?
He's like, oh, thanks, Virtual Pros. My last topic. It was recently brought to my attention that a new streetwear wrestling clothing line called Collar X Elbow. I guess it dropped, and it's brought to you by one Al Snow. If you had to start another streetwear wrestling company and had to pick a face for this company, who would you go with?
I would definitely not go with Al Snow. It's really weird. I don't think Al Snow knows what streetwear means, or like, yeah, it's just weird because like all the pictures they post are like old hardworking men, and that's fine. Like if you want to make a company that's old hardworking men, ex-pro wrestling, that's cool. Don't call it streetwear. I don't think you know what that word means. Streetwear means like hip stuff and like, stuff like that. And yeah, all of their promotional material is just like old men working with their hands. That's not streetwear, man.
Are you telling me that you don't think Al Snow is in the lab looking at like Pantone swatches and he's like, yo, this pink is not aesthetic. You're not fucking with my vision right now. You're telling me that's not happening?
No, I think Al Snow was like, okay, yeah, put the one word that way and put the other word that way. There's the logo. We did it. Let's sell these shirts. And
yeah, it just looks like CrossFit t-shirts that you see on Instagram sponsored.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think they're doing a good job of sponsoring every single wrestler on Earth, though. So at least every wrestler on Earth is getting free merch. But
yo, give us a scoop, because I did see that thing where they're just like, yo, if you want to be a sponsored athlete, let us know. What does that entail? I'd like to know. VirtualPro64@gmail.com.
Fuck.
Uh-oh.
Is that all you had?
That's all I had, man.
Okay. Sorry, we're having volume issues because I keep turning up Al, but I'm really turning up myself. So if it sounded weird for a minute, it's because I keep turning Al down really low and me really high because I got the inputs mixed up. That usually doesn't happen. I'm usually pro at this. Sorry, guys. Anyways.
Tis.
Yeah. Okay, so my 3-man scramble topics. I completely forgot.
2-man
scramble. I completely forgot. Sorry, I was supposed to come up with a new American males, and I never did.
Oh, shit.
Sorry, I just noticed it in my notes. Number 2, the old thrift store jobber wanted me to bring this up. I don't know why, but recently, since Al is a pro on this stuff, I wanted to get his Joshi pro analysis on this. There's a little attempted stabbing that happened. I'm just going to read Big Dave's... I'll skim Big Dave's article about it. On the 22nd of July, at a private function, there was an incident where Sakushi, 19, a woman wrestler, was arrested for attempting to stab Kagetsu, who is 25, who works for Stardom, as well as a number of other independent groups. Kagetsu was able to stop the attack, but police were called to the scene, and Tsukushi was arrested. Tsukushi's home promotion is Ice Ribbon, and she's noted because she started as a pro wrestler in 2010 at the age of 12, working for Ice Ribbon, and also has worked for Neo Ladies. She's one of the better workers and most popular of the young Japanese women wrestlers, and worked for blah, 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 blah. So anyways, this stabbing happened. I know Kagetsu. I like her. And I think she's a cutie. And I think she's also like a real dick. And I'm really into that. But so this interested me outside of attempted stabbing was because I belong to that Facebook group of all classic Japanese wrestling fans or whatever. I do not post because it is a sketchy group. Sorry if you are a listener and an active member in that group, but if you are a listener, you probably know I don't get down like that. But anyways, so I first heard this story on the Wrestling Observer radio show, and Dave Meltzer specifically says, and when he reported this, he said, this story's not out yet. But you know, I'm going to talk about it anyways. There's a stabbing attempt, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, this isn't in Japanese news yet because, she's a minor and it's like kind of a big deal there when there's like a stabbing attempt. And, yeah, so they haven't reported it yet. And so somebody in that group posted it like, yeah, Dave Meltzer reported this. And so then there's like 8 posts in a row, like, he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about Joshi because, you know, I haven't seen this in the Japanese newspapers yet. And then, you know, 20 minutes later, it's like, oh, here it is. And then, and that was interesting to me how you could jump the gun on a guy who like gets this news firsthand. But, then what, it's crazy. It's like, I've listened to other podcasts recently, and it's crazy how much information people can consume these days. But there was some posts in that, in the stabbing incident post, where people were like, they're saying things that like you would only know if you knew these people in real life, I think. Like, I just felt like there's one dude who was just like, yeah, Kagetsu's like a real bitch backstage. And, you know, she's kind of like has a big head and she did this and did that. Like, how would you know this stuff? Al, do you think this is normal to like know, like, how do you know this stuff? Like, where are your sources, Al? Do you have sources?
Do I have Joshi sources?
Yeah.
If I did, I would never, ever admit it, like, to anybody.
Well, are you interested in these ladies' backstage lives or anything like that?
Dude, these people on Facebook are just fucking fanficking, dude. Like, they don't know shit.
But I don't know. Like, I was listening to podcast and Voices of Wrestling, and it was like a Joshi, like, starter kit podcast where they were just going over every promotion.
Yeah.
And I think, like, I don't know how old these people are, but they're probably in their early 20s, and they seem to have all these facts too. And I just like, what are they fucking doing, man? Like, how do you get this information? I'm an old man. I don't know the 21st century that well, I guess. I don't know. I just think people are bullshitting myself. I just think that they're making this shit up, but I don't know.
So your issue is that people are commenting on people's personalities, and you feel that like that's not even a real thing because you'd have to know them personally to even say these things about them.
You would have to, like, I don't even think people would know a person from WWE's like actual personality unless they've had a conversation with, like, several conversations with them.
Yeah.
Like, you know, in a bar or something, not just at a meet and greet. So the fact that I think people would know that Kagetsu maybe deserved to get stabbed at is ridiculous because it is like a small, tiny promotion in a land far, far away. I don't know if there's like a specific creep newsletter where you find the stuff out, or people are just making this shit up. But it's real weird, and I think people need to take a step back. But anyways, how do you feel about this stabbing altogether? Are you familiar with this other girl? Because I'm not.
Dude, I'll go as deep as Sendai Girls. If I'm watching the Joshi, I will say that wait, what's her last name? Chihiro Hashimoto versus, what's the dinosaur lady called, dude? Do you remember her name?
Dinosaur lady?
Hiroko Matsumoto? That match was super good, but I don't peep, Ice Ribbon. I don't watch Wave. Sendai is as far as I'll go. But yeah, dude, I mean, if you really have the Joshi insider scoops,
yeah,
man, good for you, but I can't imagine you do.
It just seems very far-fetched. I don't know, like, that group, I'm sure those people know a lot about a lot more about Japanese wrestling than I ever will, because I don't care to know that much. But you just need to take a step back, I think, when you're starting to talk about people's personal lives and who's a bitch and who deserves a stabbing and all that. I think that is a little fanfic, like Al said. So
I do think that I guess she had like her hands taped up. That's a hard as fuck look, because people know that, like, yo, you tried to parry a knife. Also, and I respect the shit out of that.
Also, Dave Meltzer said it's because Kagetsu runs like a food delivery company, so she was just delivering food and then almost got stabbed. So I don't know. That doesn't sound like a bitch to me, but whatever.
I don't want to call anyone a bitch that I don't know, man. It's weird.
That is weird. I don't think you could judge somebody just because you read something about them. This is kind of old news now, but that's par for the course because we record every other week. But there was a match in the G1 about last week.
Yeah.
Kenny Omega versus Toru Yano. That was very heavy on the comedy. It was very funny. I thought it was a very funny match. People were up in arms about this. I personally do not care, but I was shocked again to find Dave Meltzer was also kind of like, they shouldn't do this in G1. And I don't know the reasoning for, I guess, because G1 is a serious thing, I guess. But how did you feel about this match, Al?
I saw clips of it. I didn't watch the match, but I saw like Kenny Omega's feet were tied and he was hopping around.
Yeah.
Dude, it's Toru Yano. That's his whole thing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, did I take personal offense? No, because I have other shit going on in my life.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, Toru Yano, he always does this weird comedy stuff. And I think Kenny Omega's the only one who has the background to be like, oh, I could one-up you and do weird comedy too. So they did this thing, and I don't know. I didn't see the big deal in it, but
what's the argument? Because he's like such a high, like, he's so highly viewed nowadays, Kenny Omega?
That, and because it's the G1 and it's a serious tournament where they shouldn't be joking around, I guess, but I don't know. I mean, like I said, I don't take wrestling that seriously, but
no, man, go on with your day.
Yeah, it's just one match. The next one is another thing. I guess this is my last topic, just to move this show along. Again, this feels like a million years ago, and I might have just forgot to mention it last episode. And I feel like this is something we talked about in the past, but it might have been not on the podcast. But Fire Pro World came out now several weeks ago, and Xavier Woods like tweeted himself making himself in the game. I feel like we talked about wrestlers making themselves in video games before.
Yeah, we did.
Okay. But so
we can still talk about it.
Do you think this is cool, or do you think this is really lame that he made himself in the video game?
I mean, from what I know about Xavier Woods, I don't know him personally, but I think he's a pretty heavy video game player. And so Fire Pro is all about customization.
Yeah.
So I think in this scenario, it's not dorky. But I do remember Stevie Richards dropping the logic for his wrestling abilities.
That's what we talked. Yeah, that's what we talked about.
And so that's a little much because he's like, yo, I want other people to know that I'm really good at like throwing out the submissions when I really need to. Xavier Woods just is making himself. Yeah, I don't think that's that big of a deal.
And keep in mind, Xavier Woods is in a video game that somebody made.
Yeah.
Then so it's, I mean, good for him. I don't know if he's dropping the logic in there or if he's just making himself. But I do think there should be a mode in Fire Pro where they have wrestlers make themselves and to see just like how they would rank themselves and everything and how their logic would be.
Compared to like to the developers?
Yeah. I mean, I honestly think they should do that in every game. They should do it in Madden. They should do it in NBA. Just have the actual athletes be like, no, this is how good I am.
No, some people get hot about their rating like in Madden for sure.
For sure. Definitely. I'm fucking, they released, what was it? Dwight Howard's rating for NBA 2K18, and he was like, he tweeted about it. He's like, wait till the season starts, because they gave him like a really like low 70s rating or something.
Yeah, Dwight Howard sucks these days. Dude, I would give him
he doesn't. He doesn't. He doesn't think so.
He's on the Hornets this year.
Yeah, he doesn't think so. So.
Oh, come on, Dwight, you're trash, man. It's not 2012 anymore. You're not in the Magic taking them in the finals. You're not good anymore.
Oh, I don't know. Wait till the season starts, Al. That's all I have to say. That's all Dwight has to say, too.
Let's go Kings, man. De'Aaron Fox should be a 92, man. I'm really fucking pumped about it.
Lonzo Ball's had an 80. I saw that. Him and the fucking number one pick.
Oh, Fultz.
Yeah. I guess that's it for Two Man Scramble. We're going to take a little break. We'll be back talking about our defining wrestling matches. So we'll be back.
たならほら君が笑ってたのさこのハマって浸っちゃって前を向いて寒いね寒いねリップクリーム今年1本目コンビニ肉まん缶コーヒー578円
Okay, we are back here on Virtual Pros episode 46. And this is our main segment. We are about to talk about the wrestling matches that defined us, defined our tastes, yada, yada, yada. We are still in this bloody, disgusting introductory period. And I think this is going to end because it's been like 3 episodes. So if you're not on board now, you're just going to have to catch up. But, so yeah, these are, you know, the matches that kind of defined our taste, kind of defined the, you know, the direction of this show, I guess you would say. And, I went above and beyond because I didn't want this segment to be 2 minutes. So I chose 9 matches altogether, basically 3, 3, and 3. I chose, the 3 matches, defining matches of my early childhood, the 3 defining matches of kind of like when I, you know, was a little more grown up. And then like the 3 defining matches that got me into Japanese wrestling, which is obviously a big part of this show. I think Al, you only picked 3. Altogether.
I just picked 3 because we always pick 3.
Yeah.
So this 9 thing's a little fucking weird.
Yes.
But
I mean, it's a division of 3. So, I'm gonna, you know, I'll just do 3 at once and then Al can do his one.
Sabotage me, dude. It's fine.
Also, all of mine are like, outside of like a couple are super stock where everybody's like, yeah, no shit, asshole. That's like my favorite match too. So it's nothing like super, there's a couple that are like super, like kind of odd, but outside of that, everything's pretty super simple. So I guess I'll start since I have more. So the 3 early childhood matches, I think I mentioned on the show before, but it's the one that a lot of wrestlers cite. Cactus Jack, Mick Foley was there live. It is Don Morocco versus Jimmy Snuka in the cage match, October 1983. I obviously was not there, and I was way too young to, way too young to you know, even witness this match in real time. But my uncle had a tape of it, and he like showed it to me. And that was like the first wrestling I actually remember, because this is the match where Jimmy Snuka famously leaps off the cage, and it was super crazy to see as a very tiny child. And that is what hooked me. And I don't think Al would be in my living room right now if, like, maybe my uncle showed me like car racing instead that day or something, or like football. But no, he showed me this wrestling match, and that is what made me what I am today. The next one, of course, is Ricky Steamboat versus Randy Savage from WrestleMania 3. Pretty much this whole feud is very defining for me. This was like basically like 2 of my all-time favorites going head to head, and Randy Savage being a real dick, crushing Ricky Steamboat's larynx with a ring bell and just being like a real asshole to him. And this was like probably the first match I ever saw where I was like, this is actual like good wrestling, like where I could recognize at a young age, like this is how it's done. This is how the workers work. I wasn't that much of a dork at this age, but, you know, this was like the first match where I could really tell that these guys were working their asses off. And the last one is kind of just a connection to that one, and it is Steamboat versus Ric Flair from Clash of the Champions from 1989. This was their second in their trilogy of crazy matches. This match is kind of defining for me because I was still a little too young to know the insider dirt. And so like when Ricky Steamboat left WWF, I was just like, oh, I guess he got another job. I guess maybe he's a mechanic now. Like, you know, I don't know. Like, you're a little kid, you only know WWF. Like, I knew what NWA was from magazines and stuff, but it seemed like a faraway land to me. But yeah, my uncle, same uncle, I think. Yeah, same uncle was like, oh yeah, Ricky Steamboat is in NWA, and he's wrestling Ric Flair, who I knew from magazines. And he's like, yeah, it's on whatever day Clash of Champions was on. You should watch it. And so I watched it, and I was like, oh man, this might even be better than Macho Man Randy Savage. So, this was basically the match that made me discover like other wrestling outside of WWF and started the lonely road down being like super into wrestling. And, obviously this is one of the greatest matches ever, either way. I mean, it kind of doesn't hold up now, but it's still a very good match. So yeah, those are my 3 defining very, very early age matches. What about you, Al? What's your first one?
Yo, I could work with this, actually.
Okay.
So I don't have any connections to Snuka diving off the cage because I wasn't born yet.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to say. But this was going to be like a back pocket 2-man scramble. And it was like, when did you recognize that like work rate was like important? And so you're saying that WrestleMania 3 was like it for you.
Yeah.
Whereas for me, the SummerSlam match between Bret Hart and Mr. Perfect was like the match where I was like, oh, wrestling is kind of an art.
Yeah.
It's not Hulk Hogan hulking up. And so that was my first like, oh shit, ring work is actually super like interesting to watch. Childhood matches that were really important to me. WrestleMania 6, I've gone on record to say that I super cried when Ultimate Warrior held the belt because I fucking hate Ultimate Warrior. No disrespect to the dead, but I was a Hulkamaniac through and through. The follow-up though, no, was that 7? Yeah, 7, Macho Man and Warrior, the retirement match. I remember watching that shit live, and I was just like, Warrior did it again. He fucked me over. Like, how can Macho Man drop, 4 elbows, and he doesn't get the W?
Yep.
And he had to quit.
Yep.
That shit sucked.
Yep.
But anyway, yeah, I think those are like at least 2 of the most important matches that I watched in my childhood. I'll start off with the first match that probably set this whole podcast off. I've gone on record to say that this is my favorite ECW match. I know it's not the best in people's eyes. I know people have Guerrero Malenko, their series a lot higher, but Barely Legal M-Pro 6-man tag 4/13/97 set this whole shit off for me because I mean, aside from Liger wrestling Pillman on like WCW, like this was the first like, yo, there's something going on that side of the world that's super interesting and you should pay attention. Like, I mean, as I dug deeper, like there's been way better matches than this. This is just kind of like, hey, here's like a quick briefer on how we wrestle. But all those guys, I know people give shit, Yakushiji shit about looking like a Power Ranger and just being vanilla. But man, like guys, he has a clean moonsault. Like Gran Hamada's super crisp. Taka Michinoku, definite standout. Men's Tales, whatever. Dick Togo's he's a G, but great Sasuke. He set it off for me. It was like the first time I got to see Restu live. And so this just really set it off for me. And it just kind of let me know, like, I got to check for that side of the fucking world.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Sorry, I don't have much to add outside of that.
It's okay.
But I will say this reminded me while I was making this list. I was like, it's kind of dumb for us to do this segment and not. We have like a mixtape segment where we actually talk about matches in depth. It's kind of dumb for us to do that. But then I was like, well, this is a perfect Patreon exclusive. If we ever start that Patreon we're always talking about, where we will go back and talk about our defining matches in depth. So
this is different because I'm not trying to watch people wrestle on concrete bricks. You know what I mean? We're talking about like shit that really built our taste in wrestling.
Yeah, I know. So the second one is like my domestic, like kind of teen mind. I don't think. Yeah, it's still a teen for all these matches. But you know. The shit you're into when you're a teen is pretty much what is going to define you for the rest of your life, unless you become super washed and like have kids at like age 22 and just get into like, I don't know, like fucking Bob Seger or whatever, like whatever fucking real weird normal people get into. So my first one is Razor Ramon Shawn Michaels ladder match from WrestleMania 10. I was there live. This was 1994, and this was kind of like it was my short, brief goodbye to wrestling. This was like, it was kind of like one of those deals where we got the tickets, and by the time like it happened, I was pretty much like 1 foot out the door of wrestling. But I got to see this match, and you know, at the time, obviously ladder matches were not a thing that happened. And you watch it now, and it seems like a pretty normal match. But like at the time, I was just like, this is the most insane, craziest thing I've ever seen live in my life. So that will always stick out as like a huge one for me. And then like the next 2 are kind of what kind of swerved me into my current my regular current taste in wrestling. The first one, I am not 100% sure it's even this match. It just seemed like the dates lined up. It is, I'm just going to say it was Sandman versus Mikey Whipwreck in a Singapore cane match in 1995, August 1995. It could have been Tommy Dreamer. I'm pretty sure it was this match just because of the dates, but I just remember flipping through the channels late at night, and it was like I fell on this. It was ECW. It was the first time I saw it, and it was Sandman and whoever he's wrestling. And there was like a barbed wire toilet seat involved that they put around somebody's head, and then Sandman like whipped out that cane and started whipping Mikey Whipwreck with it. And I remember like I probably not calling because we didn't have cell phones back then, but pretty sure like paging my friend to like call me on the phone, and he like called me back, and I'm like, yo, put on Sports Channel. I think he used to be on Sports Channel. I'm like, yo, put on Sports Channel. Like, there's some crazy shit going on Sports Channel. And this was like I had read about ECW in magazines and stuff, but like pretty much just like the PWI ranking, so I didn't really know what it was about. But this was like pretty much what led me down the road of being a wrestling nerd, was just randomly flipping channels one day and seeing Mikey Whipwreck and the Sandman doing weird shit to each other with canes and toilet seats with barbed wire on them. And it was just one of those things. It was like an underground thing where you would run into people and be like, hey, you know what ECW is? And they would know. And I don't know, like I've made like so many weird connections with people over ECW at that point in the 90s. So this is just like, even though I'm not 100% it is this match, it is just like a definitive match, or at least moment in time for me. And the last one is, this is an oddball. It is the Cruiserweight Battle Royal from Slamboree 1998. I think I just got back into WWF, but I was like kind of paying attention to WCW for a little while before this. And obviously like Chris Jericho was my favorite. He was, this was like right after the Man of 1,004 Holds promo. And, so he was dodging Dean Malenko for forever. Like he was, pretending like he was going to stand up to him, but he's dodging Dean Malenko. So they held this Cruiserweight Battle Royal at Slamboree, and it featured all the cruiserweights. And it came down to somebody in Cyclope, who was a masked wrestler, if you're not familiar. And Cyclope wins. And I was just like fucking like, holy shit, like Cyclope won this Cruiserweight Battle Royal. And then he takes off his mask to reveal Dean Malenko. And I was just like, that is insane. Like, my mind was fucking blown. I'm obviously so old. I know wrestling is fucking fake as hell, but I was just like, I did not picture Dean Malenko doing something so dastardly as entering this fucking battle royal as somebody else. And then after, they immediately have to have a match because it was for the number one contender for the Cruiserweight Championship, which Jericho held. And, they immediately have the match. And after like a lot of back and forth, Dean Malenko finally overcomes Chris Jericho and becomes the Cruiserweight champion. And, this was just like, I know like this is a very personal thing and no one else feels the same about these, like this amalgamation of matches, but this was just like, this is what set it off for me. And like, not so much finding Japanese wrestling, but just definitely like getting more into quote unquote work rate and stuff like that into wrestling was the whole like Dean Malenko, Chris Benoit, Chris Jericho, Eddie Guerrero, segment of WCW. And this was just like the definitive moment of that scene for me for WCW.
Just to backtrack, and this might prompt some hot takes, but just going back to Mania, I got two questions. Yep. Do you think that ladder match was better than Bret Owen?
I don't know if it's like now, like at the time, I definitely thought it was better, but now watching them, I don't know. Cause like that ladder match is pretty remedial. They don't even really do much with the ladder. Like the biggest spot, I think, is, Shawn Michaels like sort of falling off the ladder and like crotching himself on the ropes. But I remember seeing that live and just being like, I've never seen anything this crazy before. Yeah. So, but yeah, I think now you watch Bret and Owen, and that's obviously probably the better wrestled match. But as far as that moment in 1994, like you couldn't tell me nothing outside of like that ladder match being the craziest thing I ever saw.
Yeah, I remember that was like the cool guy hot take. It was just like, yo, Owen and Bret was way better. But yeah, 94, that ladder match was a spectacle, and so I would think if you saw it live, you'd have, you'd feel a way about it. Secondly, what ladder match do you have higher, the Mania 10 match or the SummerSlam rematch?
I don't even remember the SummerSlam rematch anymore. Like, yeah, I've never really revisited it.
Also, cool guy take. People have SummerSlam over Mania, but I think Mania 10's the definitive Razor Shawn match.
Yeah. I think my favorite ladder match of all, WWF ladder match of all time is, I think, the first CM Punk Money in the Bank win. I think it's that one. That one, I don't know. I think that one is like the most perfect ladder match, but that's just me.
My next two picks are very, not deep cuts, but they're really weird because they're like formats that I don't even really fuck with. But, I guess my second pick would be Manami Toyota and Toshio Yamada versus Dynamite Kansai and Mayumi Ozaki. 2 out of 3 falls, 11-4 and 93. I believe this was Dream Slam 2. I got this tape. I want to say it was either from Lorefice, shout out to Quebrada, or Jeff Lynch. Is that dude's name?
Yeah.
Someone sent me that match, and I was just like, I was at a point where I was just like collecting shit just to collect it. And like, I didn't even fuck with Joshi at that point because I didn't even know what it was. And so he included this match in a compilation, and I was just like, okay. And it kind of just taught me, like, you got to look for everything, because this to me is like in my personal top 5 matches of all time. Like these two teams had like a series and they've been great, but this one is in high importance to me because it was my first like, yo, this is All Japan's women's wrestling. Watch them drop each other on their necks for 40 minutes. They don't do a lot of rest holds. The pace is incredible. And like two out of 3 falls matches are kind of like whatever, because you know the second fall is going to go to the team that lost the first fall. But the way this match is laid out is perfect. Manami Toyota, I know people have Akira Hokuto number 1 in like best women's wrestler of all time. But I mean, this is the year she's retiring. Shout out to you, Manami Toyota. You might be listening. I don't know. But if you haven't seen this match, you should definitely check it out.
I don't think I've seen it, so maybe I should check it out.
It's 50 minutes. I tried to include it in a mixtape, but I was like, Mike's not going to watch this, so it's cool.
I mean, I'd watch it if you included it with one of your like 2-minute specials, but we'll get into the length of L's mixtape pause in the next segment. But
whatever.
Okay. So yeah, my last segment is what got me into Japanese wrestling. Although this is kind of a bullshit because there's no FMW or Michinoku Pro on this, and that's probably what that's probably what I watched the most at that time. But these are kind of like what set my taste. First, of course, is Terry Funk versus Cactus Jack, King of the Deathmatch Finals, August 20th, 1995. I, like most people of my age and my financial class, probably originally saw this match through the Stranglemania mixtape that ICP put out. And, I mean, since then, like, after seeing that, you know, me and my friends bought the original, and there's maybe wrestling matches I've seen more than this, but I don't know, man. This might be the wrestling match I've watched the most in my life. Yeah, like, this is, you know, I saw it probably in 97, 98. I probably saw this for the first time. I can't remember when Stranglemania came out. It was probably around 97, 98. Yeah. And, you know, this was just like the most insane shit I've ever seen. I still don't think I've seen anybody as bloody as Cactus Jack in that match. They had, I think I mentioned on the show before, they had like a rematch in some real weird venue in Japan. Yeah. Like days after this, that, is probably like, if I want to be a nerd about it, my hot take is that match is better, but this match is insane. Like, the ring is supposed to explode, but it just kind of sputters. Like, I don't know, man. This match is just like burned into my fucking brain for the rest of my life. And I wouldn't have gone down this ghoul path without this match. And, I have like so much to thank for this match. So this is a very high rank, probably, you know, obviously top 3 matches of all time for me. Not for work rate, but, you know, for just like, as far as just overall enjoyment. The next one is actually 2 matches. So I've had fucking 10 matches altogether. But these are 2 matches I cannot separate from each other. I remember exactly where I was, like who I was with when I watched these matches. And it is, of course, the semifinal and final of J-Cup 94, which I saw like a little later on than this King of the Death match, probably a couple years later. Actually, maybe a few years later even. Of course, the semifinal is Liger Sasuke, and the final is Benoit Sasuke. I was watching with my friend Jay. We're in my room. I remember earlier that day is when I got the tape in the mail, and I worked overnight or something at that, and I put on the first match. The first match is the Negro Casas match. And at this time, going into this J-Cup, now you fucking people on the internet, you know everything about everything before you even watch it. I just knew this was a thing that people liked, so that they liked a lot. So like when I started it, as soon as I got the tape early in the morning, like I was like, this sucks. Like I don't know why people like this. So I turned it off. Later on, my friend came over. I was like, let's watch this thing. It's supposed to be really good. And, you know, like, the whole tournament's pretty good. But then Liger Sasuke hits, and we were both, like, just, like, our minds were fucking blown by this match. Like, at the time, we were both like, I don't think we've ever seen a better wrestling match in our lives. Like, this is the greatest wrestling match of all time. I've never seen anything better than this. And then, like, 10 minutes later, Benoit Sasuke happens, and I'm like, nope, maybe this is the best wrestling match of all time. Either way, I can't separate either of these matches in my mind. Like, these are two of the greatest wrestling matches ever. As far as like the feeling you get when you watch them for the first time, like I don't think anything ever could top this in my life, as like how like special these matches were when I first watched them. I've never like had that feeling again. And so yeah, like again, this shit's probably old hat, but if you skipped over the J-Cup and you're wrestling watching, you're really doing yourself a disservice to at least watch that first one. The second one obviously is fucking super amazing too. But I honestly think if you were to name, we had to do like one essential wrestling tape, it would definitely be the J-Cup 94 for me. Unfortunately, the last one I have is a little less build up to that. But it is what got me into All Japan Pro Wrestling. It is not 6'3",
Thank God.
But All Japan Pro Wrestling was pretty much my last mountain to conquer when it came to wrestling. I didn't get it for so long. It was like old, boring guys that just wore like regular pants. Like there's no real, like Vader was, off and on in All Japan, but outside of him, like no one was a character. The most you got as a character is Kawato's missing teeth. And I was just like, I don't understand this. I don't understand what people like about this. And they had that old theme song, the do-do-do-do-do. And I was just like, this is like old man grandpa wrestling. And then, I don't know, but I tried over and over again. And finally, the thing that clicked for me was the finals, the 1997 Champion Carnival. If you do not have the internet in front of you, this is the famous Champion Carnival that ended in a 3-way tie where Kobashi had to fight Misawa. And then they basically had a round robin inside of the finals. And Champion Carnival is a round robin otherwise. So basically, if you guys don't know, Kobashi fights Misawa to a draw. Misawa is... No, wait. Yeah, Kobashi fights Misawa to a draw. Then Kawada has to fight Misawa next. But Misawa is so fucking beaten down from the draw that he's tired. And Kawada comes in and pins him in like 5 minutes. And then Kawada has to fight Kobashi, and he beats Kobashi, and he wins the whole thing. And this is what did it for me. This was basically like, whereas I was like, okay, I get it. These are all manly men. They don't need gimmicks. They can just wear colored pants, and that's all they fucking need, because all they do is drop each other on the fucking head over and over again. This is the most fucking brutal wrestling on earth. But it is like, it's a slow burn. I don't know if, like, we've talked about it before. I don't know if kids can get into it now, but, like, watching that shit, and once it finally clicks in your fucking head, and you see what's going on, where these people are taking literal minutes off their lives for every minute they wrestle, it is, like, a fucking real amazing thing that you get super into and super down with, and, nothing will ever, like, it's weird, like, thinking about these matches, and then when we get to the mixtape, like watching all those matches, I'm just like, everything in the G1 this year has been way more brutal than like everything that we grew up with. But yeah, like just at that time, I was just like, death matches are brutal, but being dropped on your head over and over again is way more brutal. So this is what set me on that path of big, beefy Japanese men beating on each other.
My only add-on to that, Rev Ray, DVDVR. Let me know what you think, because I think I came with this opinion the other day in my head. I think Koji Kanemoto, El Samurai, Best of the Super Juniors 97 is better than the finale of Super J-Cup 94.
Really?
I think that's a hot take.
I gotta watch this. I mean, I've seen it, but I haven't seen it in a long time.
If only because that was the first time I've seen like a Poison Rana, and that shit blew my dick back. Anyway, just to wrap this segment up, keep it short, simple. This is my first tape along with King of the Deathmatch 95 from High Spots. Shout out to you. I think his name is Mike too. FMW versus Zen War Games in 1997.
This is on a very early episode.
This is on a very early episode. FMW, I think, is Mike and I's probably favorite promotion, even though, like, I mean, did you even really fuck with the undercards when you got the full cards? I didn't.
I mean, I watched it, but yeah, I didn't really care that much.
Like, I cared about 3 guys. Like, I cared about, like, Wing Kanemura. I cared about Hayabusa and Masato Tanaka.
I think near the end was when I was, like, super nerdy about it, and I, like, cared about everything. But yeah, I mean, in the beginning, it was definitely just, like, fast forward to, like, the pool match and like stuff like that.
Exactly. And so this 6-man tag was fucking crazy. I'm not even like a big WCW War Games guy, but this shit had handcuffs. This shit had Hayabusa doing a 15-foot moonsault off the cage onto Onita, who for some reason was dressed up as Bret Hart, which I didn't even know why that was happening. Like I was watching this, I was going into this tape fucking blind. And so this was my first tape, and this set off this entire, like, you gotta watch Japanese pro wrestling for the rest of your life. That tape is crazy. Thank you, High Spots. Up next, the mixtape with, Cinder Blocks, Chris Hero, Hideo Itami, and others. Please stay tuned.
I'd rather be smoking weed whenever we breathe. Every time you kiss me, don't say that you miss me. Just come get me. Don't know, I just know I want to. Don't know, I just know I want you. I'd rather be breaking things, 'cause we can't see. We're too busy kissing, just making scenes. Even the police, they know about your history. How you live in love like fuck you. Don't care why, I just know I love you.
And welcome back to Virtual Pros episode 46. If you haven't already, hit us on Instagram and Twitter at VRTL Pros. Hit us on iTunes, leave a review. If you haven't already, hit us on SoundCloud, hit that heart, you know I like it. Download that bloody disgusting app. And yo, if you have Twitter and if you have Instagram, just like, I'm not saying spam, just like maybe like a level below, and just let them know that Virtual Pros is in the building. So we got a pretty good assortment of matches for you tonight for episode 46. I'll start off. It's Chris Hero versus Hideo Itami, 7/23/2015. This is for WXW. This is up from Shotgun number 217.
I think that's, just to be clear, so no nerds correct us on the internet.
Yeah.
That is like some weird YouTube or internet wrestling show they have. I don't think this match took place in 2015 because I'm almost positive Hideo
I was like,
Itami.
Hideo Itami was the next year already,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I'm pretty sure this is a little old, but it's in German, so who fucking knows when it actually took place.
Sorry, nerds.
Yeah.
So I picked this match on the strength of like the recent NXT showing where Hideo ends the match with like a dick kick, which is great. Like, I love that shit. But I just wanted to see more. So, like, you know, here we are in Germany. So, Chris Hero and Kenta, they're wrestling in WXW. It looks like they're wrestling on an unmade bed. And, like, anytime I see, like, a wrinkly mat, I just kind of tune out. Cause, like, I don't know why. It's just kind of, like, not aesthetically pleasing, right? It just kind of looks super junky. Like, if you're wrestling on, like, a hefty bag, I don't know. I'm used to, like, watching people wrestle on Sega Saturn logos, so I got high standards. So, Mike, I had a question for you. Like, say you attended this event and you had to pick, like, where you had to situate yourself. Would you be, like, up close, like, to the ring and, like, slapping the apron? Or would you be in the bleachers like a normal person?
Oddly enough, the first two things Al said are two of my notes, so I'm going to have very short notes when it gets to me. But, I mean, I always try and be up front, but, I mean, I guess I'll get into it more when I get to my side, but I don't know if I guess if there was a bleacher option, I would probably just go to the bleachers because standing for wrestling that long and not being able to lean against something would suck dicks. So I mean, if there was a bleacher option, I would definitely just be in the bleachers hanging out.
So, I think I'd want to sit down. Sitting down's fucking tight, man. I got bad knees. So, this crowd, they start a fuck 'em up, Hero, fuck 'em up chant while Hero is doing a headlock. And I'm like, all right, guys. Like, I get you guys are enthusiastic about professional wrestling. I had to stop the match. I was just like, yo, this crowd's actually kind of wildly annoying. Like, more and more, it just sounds like it's like a crowd, like in a wrestling video game, where it just sounds like not organic. It doesn't sound natural at all. For those that like even bothered to check out a pretty underrated game in WWE All-Stars, they recorded a chant for CM Punk where the crowd chants, Second City Saint, Second City Saint. And I was like, yo, that has never happened in wrestling. If it has, please email me, virtualpros64@gmail.com. I'd love to see it. This match was cool. It would, it's like what you'd expect out of these two. There's a lot of hard hitting. There's some parts where, Kenta, aka Hideo Itami, he does some kicks and they creep up towards Chris Hero's throat. And, throat hitting is like probably my number one trigger. Like I can't stand it. So, that was pretty rough to watch, but like, it was good, but I don't know if it had to go 22 minutes. What'd you think, Mike?
So to paint the picture, we were supposed to record very early in the afternoon today.
That's not true.
You were the one who said you were going to come to my house right after you got to the airport. So I watched these matches last night and I was like a little too tired. I'm usually not a bitch about being tired. But I was like cranky and I was like, I'll usually pick short shit. So whatever. And then, I see this match coming up and it's listed at 27 minutes. Thankfully, it's not actually 27 minutes. It's like 22 minutes or something, but, still I was just like, oh fuck. And then, the match afterwards is also pretty lengthy. So I was not feeling this. My first note just says 27 minutes. But then, my next note was, I wish they would stop chanting. Like, as much as I've ever bitched about, people in the US chanting either at indie shows or even WWE shows, this is obviously, this is, like I said, this is pre-2015. I assume this is probably between 2012 and, probably be between 2012 and it's probably 2012, 2013 when this took place. So I will give Germany the credit that they were obnoxious chanters way before I think America was, but it's fucking ridiculous how bad the chanting is. Like, it's just like every 2 seconds, everybody in unison chanting everything everybody hates. It is, in like maybe at the time it seemed cool, but in retrospect, it's real hard to fucking watch. There's a lot of hard kicks in this match. I'll give them that. They kick the fuck out of each other. I wrote down too late. I don't know what the fuck that means. I just think it meant it was too late in the night. As like Al said, I fucking hate this ring. It is, it's like squishy looking, like if you're at like a Discovery Zone or something. Or like if you were about to film a real shady porn where there's going to be a lot of liquids being spilt all over the place. I don't know I've seen a couple two-tree, WXW matches in the past. And so they get solid fucking wrestlers all the time. If you're going to get solid wrestlers, maybe take a show off of getting solid wrestlers and put that money into your canvas to not get such a squishy looking gross ring, because it's a real turnoff. And as Al also noted, everybody there's like a few promotions that do this now. Beyond Wrestling, I believe, does it. It's a lot of standing around the ring. And, we just talked about, but how do you feel about this? Like, if you had the opportunity and they're like, you can be up front, like, basically leaning against the ring, would you do this?
Fuck no.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many reasons why I wouldn't do this. First off, because I'm a lazy person and I'm usually not sober. So, like, I would, like, and this would be filmed probably, I'd straight out be, like, laying down on the ring by, like, this third match. Like, I would just be like, straight up like leaning up against it, just like kind of laying down, and like on top of that, like give the wrestler some room to do. Like you're fucking pressed up against that ring. No one's gonna dive outside. You know that. It's just like it's a bad look. I assume this is like a small venue. I don't know if squishy ring is needed. I don't know if you know, like I don't know if for whatever reason they need to have these people pressed up. I know Chris, aka Cassius, is a friend of the show. I don't know if he actually listens or he just fucking talks to us, but you know, maybe he has some insight about this, or maybe we have German listeners. I don't think we do, but if we do, like, give us some insight about this, because like that is also like my one real like fallback about wanting to go to Beyond Wrestling, where I'm just like, I like being up front, but I don't like being like, you know, like where I'm going to be on camera falling asleep. So like, like, I don't know. Like, it seems I was actually, when I went to $5 wrestling, but it was legitimately only like one match that they actually had live. And I was like up, like it was the same setup where like I was like leaning against the ring. And so it was basically one match where I was leaning against the ring. And that was enough. So, but I imagine these matches are a lot longer than or these cards are a lot longer than one match. So, I don't know, man. I guess if you're having fun, it's cool, but this was a great match, and it's unfortunate that I don't think this match is happening at TakeOver, so I'm glad it happened in the past, and I'm glad it happened, basically, because I don't think these dudes are allowed to kick the fuck out of each other like they did in this match. So if you're into these dudes, and you're into long matches, and it's not 1 a.m. and you're being cranky, definitely check out this match. It's fucking good. It's, Chris is not quite as big as he is nowadays, so it's not as like insane, but still, like a lot of these matches that Kenta has in NXT are just like, oh, he kind of looks like a small man, but they really pull it off in this match where you're just like, oh, he's still like a serious ass kicker, even though he's kind of smaller than everybody else. So definitely check this match out if you're a fan of either of them and you haven't. So my match, before I get into my first match, I wanted to mention, I completely forgot that I was supposed to mention Two Man Scramble, that I went to GCW, Game Changer Wrestling, last weekend. And honestly, I don't have much to say about it. I'm just gonna, cause there's some circumstances that I won't get into, to protect the innocent, but I went with somebody and they maybe have drank too much and it was like a big thing. So I didn't get to see much of the match, but I will say that same friend who got really drunk, Stan Hansen was there. He's taking photos with, people or autographs or whatever the fuck they do. And my friend like went up to him and, for once I wasn't the embarrassing asshole that got carnied or fucking marked out or whatever the fuck you guys call it. Worked. That's it. It worked by a wrestler. So my friend goes up to Stan Hansen. Stan Hansen has such a beautiful voice. He should do cartoons or something. But like, so my friend goes up to Stan Hansen. He's like, hey, what's up? And he like shakes his hand and he's like, can I get a picture with you? And Stan Hansen pulls the most carny shit I've seen. Like, I mean, he's been around forever, so of course he knows how to do this. And he pulls the most carny shit where he's just like, I'm sorry, son. My left ear is bad. I can't hear you. And he's like, can I get a picture with you? Yeah. And he's just like, sorry, I can't hear you, son. And he's like, can I get a picture with you? And he's like, sorry, I can't hear you. And finally his handler comes over and he's like, that'll be $20. And I'm just like, oh my God, that's such a good scam. That is fucking amazing. Cause like, Stan Hansen doesn't seem like the bad guy in this. And it's like, it was such an amazing scam to see. And I got to take the photo. I would never take a fucking photo. I mean, fucking Al's about to drop 40 to take a photo with Onita, but like, it was cool seeing.
It's a selfie, by the way. It says that shit. It's a selfie with Onita, so it's worth it.
Oh my God. But yeah, like, it was just a cool experience. Luckily, my friend, puked all over the place and Stan Hansen parked right near him. So Stan Hansen, the last memory he'll have of Game Changer Wrestling is smelling my friend's puke. Also, Stan Hansen didn't stick around for the whole thing, but he stuck around enough to see like the deathmatch stuff. And I just really want to know, like, he was so far back. He has bad eyesight. Everybody knows that. So he probably didn't know what was going on, but it was definitely a very weird dichotomy going on. Anyway, sorry about interrupting my own shit, but my first match is, this is also, speak of the devil, sort of the same thing. It's CZW from 2001, June 2001. It's Amazing Red, versus SAT. Amazing Red and the SATs versus Brian XL and Divine Storm. This was requested by our friend Adam, aka CZW fans. I think he said this was the first indie show, the first CZW show he ever went to. I think he legitimately likes that match. I do not have those same feelings, unfortunately. So, like, I knew about most of these guys when I was, like, at that point in real life. Like, I knew the names and stuff, and I'd see them pop up on message boards and stuff. And this was, like, the first wave of wrestlers, in my lifetime at least, that I was like, these guys don't even look like fucking wrestlers. They look like fucking regular dudes in weird costumes, weird, cheap costumes. And that still holds up to this day. Like, watching this match, I'm just like... the SAT and Amazing Red just look like they just got off the gas station, man. Like, they just look like fucking bums. And the other guys look like bums, too. Yeah, man, like... I know, like I said, I think Adam, like, likes this match. And I think at the time, if I was there, maybe this maybe this holds up. But, like, time has not been kind to this, like, this whole match. Like, everything about it, it's so silly to watch. It's like watching people dance fight. It's like watching You Got Served or something. Like, there's so many fucking ridiculous flips. So much no selling at all. Just like flip after fucking flip. It's like watching the fucking circus. And I know, like, if you're a longtime listener, before you get up my ass about it, I was very high on Ricochet versus Will Ospreay, but that's a whole different thing. They're selling in that match. They do, like, logical shit in that match. It's 1-on-1. This is a 3-on-3 match, and it's just guys, like, seeing who can flip the most. Everything they do looks really light. Like, nothing looks like it hurts at all. It's just like I said, it looks like a fucking circus act. On top of that, the crowd is really quiet through, like, the first half of this, which makes it even worse. And I think, like, I mean, they do a lot of, like, lucha influence moves, and I think it works because I think it works in lucha because people look cool. But again, like, this match is basically, because the whole time I was like, I wonder why this match isn't connecting with me. It's not like I have a, like, real hard stance against this type of wrestling. But then I thought about it, and, like, aesthetics really do matter in wrestling. So you have these guys who kind of just look like Amazing Red honestly looks like a small child in this. He looks like a 15-year-old, 98-pound child. The other guys look like they just got off their shift at Jiffy Lube. Like, everybody just kind of looks like a bum in this match. Sorry if, you know these guys or anything, but, like, whatever. Like, they just kind of look like dudes. And again, it's maybe par for the time. It's par for 2001. But it's just, like, and they're in, like, a dumpy, weird kind of venue. The ring sucks. Like, everything about this is just, like, not aesthetically pleasing. So I think, like, aesthetics really do matter in wrestling after watching this. But yeah, like I said, like, lucha, like, in lucha, I think this kind of weird, like, kind of soft shit works because everybody looks cool, but these guys do not look cool. I will say, at one point, one of the other guys on the other team that isn't the SATs gives the Amazing Red this very scary, like, package Michinoku driver. I don't even know what the fuck it is, but it looked like Amazing Red's career could have ended with that. That was, like, the hardest shit in this match. Yeah, I'm sorry, Adam. This is not my shit. I know he was really into this match, but I assume live in 2001 it was a sight to see. But watching this now, I was just really upset. Again, 1 a.m, I was very grumpy the whole time, but so I was like, maybe Al likes this. But Al, did you like this match?
To start off, full disclosure, like, early 2000s US Indies is like a complete blind spot to me.
Yeah.
So shit like Omega, shit like this, CZW.
I was into Omega, but yeah, this I was not into.
Like shit like APW Gym Wars. Like, I heard of that shit.
Yeah.
Like, I've heard of the people, but, like, I never sat down and, like, watched an entire show. So, like, this is actually kind of new to me. Brian XL, he's dressed like an N1 mixtape point guard. And I'm fucking with it. That look is heavy. If you know what he's up to these days, I'd like to know. virtualpros64@gmail.com. This match starts off with, like, quote unquote chain wrestling. And I'm like, all right. Like, the effort is, like, pretty commendable because I know you need a gas tank, like the workers would say. But, like, they look wildly tired, like, after 45 seconds of, like, exchanging arm drags. And, like, from there, I'm just like, okay, this is going to be, like, the brokest Michinoku Pro 6-man tag I've ever seen. And, like, I'm sort of right.
Yep.
And so, I had a question for listeners if you were here. Adam, if you're listening, can you confirm, like, So say you went, did you have the option to sit behind the chain link fence? Or are those just onlookers? I'd like to know. I'd like to sit behind a fence. That's fine. So towards the end of this match, like everyone starts to do their dives outside. Mike alluded to it previously, and I feel kind of bad because the crowd just like is not into it. They're super quiet, and mind you, these people are putting it on the fucking line. They're just like leaping like onto like maybe one or two dudes outside on concrete, and I'm just like, man, I would cheer for that shit, but no one really cared. Amazing Red, he does do a springboard tope off a chair. That looks cool, but like overall, there's like zero tact to this match, right? They're just doing shit to do it. It's kind of like a Lloyd Banks song, like but in wrestling form. It's like all punchlines, nothing else. Like there's nothing else to it, but just like, hey, watch me do this cool move.
Yep,
so
yep.
Adam, I know you were there. I get it. But you're right, Mike. Like, this match does not hold up over time. Next up, the Gladiator, Mike Awesome versus Masato Tanaka for the FMW double titles, 9/28/1997. This clip opens up with a very sassy Gladiator cutting a promo, guaranteeing that Masato Tanaka will, quote, end up with a broken heart, which is like a hot line. More people should say that shit. I like that. This match takes place at Kawasaki Stadium. I always thought this venue was super cool, especially at night, visually, because like there's so much room between the crowd and the ring, and it's like pitch black. So it kind of looks like people are wrestling in outer space. I fuck with it. Masato Tanaka, Dangan.mp3. Great theme song, all capital letters. I fuck with that theme song heavy. So the two dudes that are on the call here, they're speaking like so quietly, so it kind of sounds like they don't want to wake up their parents or something, and like they don't react to anyone doing anything. Like there's a part where Mike Awesome puts Masato Tanaka through some tables, and they're just like, oh, that's cool. It's kind of weird. Bahu, he might want to chime in here, but I think leading up to this match, the Gladiator was just like washing Masato Tanaka over the span of a couple months, maybe years. So I think the build-up for this match is pretty great. To me, this might be the best match out of their feud. I know their ECW belts are pretty, like, at least hard-hitting. You can't deny that. I thought they were pretty solid. But if you never got to peep any of these matches, which would be kind of hard to imagine, because right now you're about an hour and 10 minutes into listening to two 30-year-olds talk about Japanese wrestling from the 90s, I would watch this match first. What'd you think?
So again, I was very late and grumpy. Another 20-something minute match popped up. But, I think, when all is said and done, when we're all just dust, when the big bomb comes and wipes us out, you would have to be the all-time biggest shitmeister to not fucking think Mike Awesome versus Masato Tanaka has to be top 3 feuds of all time. Like, as far as two wrestlers just working with each other perfectly,
Hell yeah.
These are just matches, any of them they've ever had, even the last one, the last ECW One Night Stand or whatever that WWF pay-per-view was called, that match is fucking amazing. It's just like, you're like, oh, maybe they don't hold up anymore. They always fucking hold up. These dudes work together the greatest out of anybody besides Flair and Steamboat. They're just fucking amazing, amazing wrestlers together. I will say this match starts off with promos. I was very sad to see that this is one of the very rare Mike Awesome promos where he doesn't say fucking a bunch. And he only says goddamn, so there's no real cussing in this, so I was a little let down by that. As Al mentioned, the commentary. This commentary is very weird. It's overdubbed, which means they recorded it way later than when this took place. So maybe this is some Japanese guy's version of Virtual Pros, basically. Maybe this isn't. I don't think that was the original commentary that went with this match. It was something else, something different. Maybe for a commercial tape or something. I also wrote down, again, I was fucking on one last night, so I wrote down just two big just two big boys that like fighting each other. I don't know what that means, but I wrote it down. But I do think that they're just two big boys that like fighting each other. It's crazy because, 5 years ago, up to 5 years ago, if you're like, what are the two like who are the dudes who have the wildest matches, and it would be Tanaka versus Awesome every single time.
Yep.
But now, like nowadays, this is kind of just like a kind of wild G1 match. This is like not even the best G1 match of this year, but it's like it would fit in perfectly with G1. As Al said, I did check Bahu's write-up on this, and yeah, this was the match that kind of like Mike Awesome had like a stranglehold over FMW for like 2 years, and he's kind of just beating the shit out of Tanaka for quite a while, and finally Tanaka gets the one-up in this match, and it's pretty amazing. And outside of that, there is an absolute like every single match they've ever had, there's at least 1 to 7 very ugly, just disgusting parts, and in this match it is Tanaka giving Mike Awesome a running powerbomb over the ropes to the outside onto a table, but like Mike Awesome just kind of grazes the table a little and just falls right onto the fucking floor. And I rolled my eyes so hard, not in a bad way, but just like, oh my god, like I can't believe that. Like Tanaka, like Mike Awesome killed himself. If you guys are new to wrestling, he's fucking dead. But Tanaka still fucking wrestles, and no doubt if Mike Awesome did not kill himself, he'd probably still be wrestling. It is like a fucking, I don't know, it is like a feat of science that Tanaka is still going after doing all these matches. But yeah, like Al said, if you, for whatever reason, you listen to this fucking podcast and you've never seen a Mike Awesome Tanaka match, this is probably, I mean, they're all fucking, in my book, they're all 5 stars, but this is a very definitive one, so check it out. So my last match was, and this is pretty cool, it is, this was from a few weeks ago.
It's pretty cool.
It's, Big Japan, a concrete canvas and box cutter and scissors death match. It is Joshi and Takeda versus Fujita and Hoshino. So what I just said, this is pretty cool. I mean, it's pretty cool that we have finally like caught on enough where this match wasn't even uploaded to YouTube yet, and there was people like tweeting us like, "Hey, this match just happened. You got to put this on the mixtape." So I heard about this match 17 times before it actually got uploaded. So as soon as it got uploaded, I was like, "Well, this is what the people want. So this is what we're watching."
Sick fucks.
Yes. My first note just says T this ring. I don't know what that means, but if you guys can decipher that.
The letter T.
Yes. T-E this ring.
Yikes.
I don't know. I don't know what the fuck I was trying to write there, but my next note was I didn't know. I'm not familiar. I'm familiar with Takeda. I saw him at the Tournament of Survival.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with Fujita and Hoshino. Luckily, they decided to wear shirts with their first name initials on it, much like Terrence and Phillip. So they're just like Terrence and Phillip wrestlers, which is fucking great. Takeda's chest is so fucked. Like, this guy, he is not a normal member of society. His chest looks like he got bit by the biggest mosquitoes in the world, but it's just fucking crazy scissor and box cutter scars. Spoiler alert, later on in the match, he cut him and his partner, who's just a crazy, like, twizzy, fucking face-painted man. They cut themselves in the chest of the box cutter, so now I know why Takeda's chest is so fucked. It is so, like, if somebody made, like, a coffee table book of the scars of deathmatch wrestlers, Takeda's would just be up there with the grossest for me, man. His fucking chest is so gross. So yeah, if you don't know the deal with this match, basically, Big Japan has took it to another level where they're like, hey, we have cinder blocks in matches, but how about we cover the whole entire ring in cinder blocks? Maybe that's why I wrote T this ring. Maybe I was meaning you should at least look at this ring to see how beautiful it looks covered in cinder blocks. So the whole canvas is covered in cinder blocks, and maybe you guys don't know what cinder blocks are, but that's a bad thing. That's, you can't really do moves. You can't really run around and fucking fall on your knees and back on cinder blocks. So the whole time, as soon as the bell rings, I'm just like, something terrible is gonna happen. Like, they're building up, because honestly, a lot of the, like, 90% of the moves in this match are real light, because they're just, like, they're literally on cinder blocks, so, like, they're doing pile drivers and they're landing, like, so light. And it's just like they have no choice because they're literally on cinder blocks. But I'm just like, they wouldn't be doing this match unless something really horrible is going to happen. So that's foreshadowing. So the one guy, Joshi, he does this spot, and I don't know if this is a normal part of his repertoire, but he puts the cinder block, the concrete cinder block, against either Fujita, one of the other guys' heads. and he headbutts it. I don't know if he was trying to break it or what he was trying to do. This is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen in wrestling. Like, why you are a fucking moron, dude. This is way worse than cutting your chest with a fucking box cutter. This was insane. Crowd loves it, and he goes back and does it again. And I think he does it later in the match again. So he's done it 3 times. Meanwhile, Shibata is like writing blogs. Like, it's cool. Like, I can see things again. Like, I can hear again. Like, it's crazy. Oh, I can walk 5 steps. This guy, this fucking crazy motherfucker is just headbutting cinder blocks. Like, full shoot headbutting fucking cinder blocks. It is the dumbest thing I've ever seen applied in wrestling. So Al is he has a little more trepidation towards death matches than I do. And I think everybody, when they watch death matches, they find different things more off-putting than others do, personally at least. I find, for whatever reason, I find box cutters super sketchy, even though it's just a razor blade, and that's what everybody cuts their head with. How do you feel about box cutters, Al? Do you think that is a sketchy weapon to use in a death match? Do you think that's more sketchy than scissors or something else?
I think it's the sketchiest weapon.
Okay, I'm glad you agree with me then, because, like, I mean, essentially, it is just a razor blade, but, like...
I don't like the medium of it, dude.
Yeah, dude, like, that's how I feel. Like, once those start getting pulled out, I'm just like... Man, this is kind of like a snuff film, man. Like, it's cool when you're falling into barbed wire and shit and falling on cinder blocks, but once you pull out that fucking box cutter, this is like a real deal fight, sorta. So when they cut open their chest, that is like the most, it's not gross, but it is very horrific. So finally, the terrible thing happens. I don't even remember because I didn't write it down. But basically, the big spot is that they do a shoot top rope suplex. Basically a top rope superplex onto these fucking concrete bricks. And these guys are fucking morons, man. Like, everybody in this match, you did it. You're hardcore. You guys are the most hardcore. This isn't the most brutal death match, but, like, as far as covering a ring in cinder blocks, oddly enough, yeah, whatever. I'll talk about this some other time. But yeah, like, it's just like, for the spectacle of it, it's worth a watch. It isn't, like, the worst thing you're ever going to see, but... maybe dial it down a notch. Maybe Big Japan. I don't know what you're on right now, but yeah, maybe just chill for a minute, because like you need to chill a little and maybe dial it down, because people are gonna get too spoiled and expect like the next match to actually be like fucking throwing acid on people and just fucking burning their skin off or something. But Al, how did you feel about this match?
To start off, Kankuro Hoshino. He kind of looks like a Japanese Drake Younger, and I kind of wonder if he's cosplaying. Look at his face. They look exactly the same. There's a spot where Hoshino, he has cinder blocks on his chest, and I forget who does it. I think Takeda does it. He does a running drop kick, and, like, these cinder blocks explode, and I'm like, well, that's the most violent thing I've ever seen on this mixtape. That shit is awful. Some trivia here. Jaki Numazawa, the Twizzy guy, he's 40. He got married a couple years ago, and when he got married, he took his wife's last name. And so, like, on date alone, I think Jaki could sue Mike and Maria for this entire thing, right? Like, he might have been a style, I don't know. Jaki Numazawa, he gets his forehead sliced with a box cutter, and afterwards, he exclaims, "Kimochi." And I know what that means from other inappropriate Japanese videos. I'm glad this match is 13 minutes long, because 13 minutes is like all I could physically handle. So Mike talked about it already, but these two fucking guys, they do the Billy from Predator scene where they cut their chests open. And as a kid, that scene haunts me. And so when I saw them do this, I was like, oh, man, our fans, man, this is what I do it for. It's hard to do it, but I'll do it. And I'm just like, yo, if you've seen that Seinfeld gif of him getting up out of his chair at the theater, that was me. This shit was fucking awful to watch. It was so bad. This is the worst one. This was worse than the soda can match.
Wow.
Are you kidding me? Those headbutts? The box cutters? Those are all things it's not good.
Yeah, I guess because it's more of internal pain for them, or that they're gonna have for the rest of their lives. It wasn't as, like, off-putting to me. It was, like I said, these guys are fucking morons for having this match, but it didn't really affect me outside of the box cutter thing, but yeah.
That was episode 46 of the Virtual Pros podcast. If you haven't already, hit us on Twitter and Instagram at VRTL Pros. Subscribe to us on iTunes. Leave a review. Hit us on SoundCloud. It might not be up for much longer, apparently. I guess Chance the Rapper helped them out. But I mean, I'm just saying, hit that heart. You know, I like it. Mike, in 2 days, we're going to see 60-year-old Atsushi Onita versus Matt Tremont. What are your thoughts about this entire ordeal?
I'm very happy to go party with a bunch of people. The match I have very low expectations for.
Cosign.
Before we sign off, I was on Junk Food Dinner this week talking about very ghoulish movies, very disgusting movies. Junkfooddinner.com. If you're into horror films or any other thing, check out junkfooddinner.com. I was on there talking about very sketchy movies, even sketchier than this concrete death match.
Yo, if you're there Saturday, hit us up.
Yes.
Peace. Don't be weird.